Let me start this review just by clearing the air. I'm not the biggest Godzilla fan. There are a few good ones out there. The original 1954 not only gave birth to the kaiju genre, but remains as poignant as ever with its unique and important perspective of the effects of nuclear war. Its visuals in particular are so striking as they depict an unstoppable force devastating an entire city. Godzilla 1984 and Shin Godzilla are another couple of standouts from the franchise. Their commitment to maintaining the original serious tone goes a long way in preserving Godzilla as a force to be reckoned with. As opposed to this. As of right now, 2024, Happy New Year by the way, there are 38 Godzilla movies, 33 from Japan alone. And unfortunately, the overwhelming majority are absolute bananas. I can't bear to watch such an important horror icon prance around on screen like this. I don't care about his son, and what the hell is even going on here? It's baffling to me how this franchise became so ridiculous. Godzilla at his best should be terrifying. This is the face of unimaginable power and destruction. Not this.
What the hell is even that?
Well, lucky for me, the most recent entry in the franchise delivers an absolutely terrifying and destructive Godzilla. So with that, let's get into it.
Godzilla-1.
The first thing that struck me about Godzilla -1 was the title, -1. At first I was a little confused and thought maybe it was a prequel or something. Kind of a dumb name for a prequel, but whatever. Then I learned what it meant. After the two bombings at the end of the Second World War, many parts of Japan were reduced to nothing. 0. Then along comes Godzilla to reduce them even further. -1. What a genius title. You already know this isn't going to be some friendly, misunderstood monster who's only here to help. He just kind of leaves a little mess. No, this Godzilla is angry and he's here to destroy. Also, this isn't one of those Godzillas that they save showing you for the very end. No, he's here right in the beginning and just starts destroying stuff. His first appearance was so early, it was completely unexpected, and to be honest, it was a bit of a jump scare. And something interesting about his first appearance is he's relatively small. Still big, definitely bigger than a T-Rex, and I was a little disappointed. I was like, that's it. But let me tell you, before long, I changed my mind. He was still big enough to cause some serious damage, but not so big that he was just lumbering around. He was literally running after people and biting them in half. This smaller Godzilla won me over, and by the end of the scene, I was totally on board. I would have been happy to see him stay this size the whole time. But he doesn't. He actually grows into the more traditional size. So by the time he comes back, we get a brand new reveal of a whole new Godzilla.
Godzilla.
And for the most part, he looks incredible. I have to say for the most part, because there are a few scenes where the CGI is pretty bad, but considering the budget here is about 1/10 of a typical Hollywood blockbuster, a few flaws here and there is to be expected. And to be honest, a lot of the issues with the CGI here are so minimal that they really could have been fixed with some digital smoke, or even just having a few of the scenes take place at night. But their decision to put Godzilla front and center despite his flaws is very admirable, and I approve. Now, I don't want you to get the wrong impression that Godzilla is just some CGI nightmare. Far from it. Most of the effects look extraordinary. In one of my favorite scenes, for instance, Godzilla is swimming after our main characters. And this entire sequence, the CGI is flawless. I mean, I couldn't tell if I was looking at CGI or practical effects. Either way, it looked amazing. So despite the budget, this movie delivers some state-of-the-art effects. Just be warned that there are some scenes where the smaller budget starts to show through, but it's never to the extent where it takes away from Godzilla's absolutely fierce presence. Now, besides Godzilla, we've got a cast of human characters, and they are, without a doubt, the best human characters ever put into a Godzilla film. And I can confidently say that without having seen every Godzilla movie, because, I mean, do you really expect more from Godzilla versus Space Godzilla?
Space monster. He looks like Godzilla.
Do you think Ibera, Horror of the Deep, has great character development? Nobody is watching these Godzilla movies for a captivating story about humans. But in the case of -1, the human characters are, quite frankly, better than this movie deserves. This is the only Godzilla movie where I wasn't counting down the seconds, waiting for him to come back and start destroying stuff. Our main character, Koichi, is a kamikaze pilot who disobeyed his orders and abandoned the war to save his own life. And this movie does not shy away from letting you know just how everyone feels about that. His fellow military soldiers are openly disgusted by him. Back home, he discovers his entire city's been destroyed, and those left blame him for everything they lost. His neighbor even goes so far as to tell him that if his parents were still alive, they would be ashamed of him. And we actually see Koichi struggling to deal with the guilt that he feels. It keeps him up at night. He breaks down a couple of times and insists that he's already dead and in hell. These are some powerful moments that the actor pulls off masterfully. In addition to Koichi, there's Noriko, who in any other movie would just be the love interest, but here it's more complicated than that. There's also Akiko, who in any other movie would be the daughter, but here again, it's more complicated. And that's what this movie does so well. Life and relationships are messy and complex. Not everything is so clear or black and white. And that's especially true in the case of post-war Japan, where everyone has lost everything, including their homes and family. Every individual here is all that's left in their life. I don't remember anyone having a brother or a sister, a mom or a dad, a son or a daughter. It's just them. These people are literally at zero. They have to start all over. And this movie, a Godzilla movie, tells their story in a genuine way. Their lives unfold right in front of you, slowly and organically. Noriko is caring for Akiko, a random baby she finds in the rubble because she can't bring herself to abandon a helpless infant. Koichi similarly takes in the two of them because he can't bear to leave them alone. The three of them naturally become close, and everyone else kind of sees them as a family. Koichi, though, being so ashamed of his past, can't allow himself to fully commit to Noriko and Akiko. He just doesn't feel worthy. Like I said, the relationships are complicated. And this movie, a Godzilla movie, mind you, delivers a complex and nuanced story. And it doesn't stop with just these three. There are plenty of other characters with their own unique personalities and backstories, but I'm not going to go into them in this review. Just know that all of the characters here are so well written. Okay, not everything here was perfect. There are a few instances where the movie kind of fell short. One thing in particular that I absolutely hated, but before I get into that, I want to remind you that if you like my content and you want to support me, I've included a link in the description below to buy me a coffee, or if you'd prefer to support me in the classroom, I've included a link to my Amazon wishlist. If you'd like to support me directly, I'm accepting donations through Stream Elements. And finally, I have a second channel, Too Bad About Kenny, with a number 2. It's a channel focused on video games where I live stream every Sunday.
Look at me, I'm a meter maid. I'm giving him a ticket. Uphold the law.
Okay, now on to the complaints. First, let me get the CGI out of the way. While the special effects in some parts do leave a bit to be desired, I do not consider this a fault of the movie. Tremendous effort was made to make this movie look as good as possible, and given its budget, I think they accomplished just that. What really bothers me, and just so you know, my complaints here are spoiler heavy, so take that as you like and keep watching at your own risk. The ending is just way too happy. About halfway through, during Godzilla's atomic breath scene, Noriko gets swept away by the blast, and it's very clear what happens to her. So Koichi, after already losing everything, now loses his only hope of rebuilding a new family. And to make things worse, he lost her before he could ever even express his feelings to her. He really did lose so much in that moment. So it makes a lot of sense that shortly after, he decides to sacrifice himself by flying a plane carrying explosives directly into Godzilla's mouth. And I felt like that was a good end to our main character. Throughout the entire movie, Koichi's haunted by a tremendous amount of guilt for abandoning his duty as a kamikaze pilot. His failure to commit and follow through continued to burden him throughout his relationship with Noriko and Akiko. He couldn't admit his love for either of them, and he wouldn't even let Akiko call him dad. Which makes his final mission a very poetic redemption arc for his story. But, get this, everyone survives. Yay! After Godzilla is taken out, we learn that Koichi used the secret eject button to escape right before impact. Yay! Then, we learn that Noriko not only survived the blast, she's completely okay. Yay! Look, I don't hate happy endings and want everyone to die and be miserable at the end of every movie that I watch, but in this case, they set everything up so carefully. When Noriko was swept away, that was a powerful moment, and I felt that. Not to mention, just before she was blown away, she actually pushed Koichi into cover. So she sacrificed herself for the only other person that was willing to sacrifice himself to save everyone from Godzilla. It was the perfect order of events. So even though it was incredibly tragic, the ending felt earned. So when they took all that away and replaced it with a happy ending, it just made everything feel less important. If you cut out that everybody lives moment and go to credits 5 minutes earlier, I think you'd have a much more powerful ending. Another complaint I have isn't really anything that has to do with the movie. It's kind of a stupid thing, but I just gotta say it. This is the movie that should have been paired with Oppenheimer, not Barbie. Nobody asked for Barbenheimer. It doesn't even make any sense. But you know what does? Oppenzilla. I think these two movies should be sold as a set. Could you imagine finishing Oppenheimer and then going right into Godzilla?
We thought we might start a chain reaction that would destroy the entire world. I believe we did.
Now that's a movie night. Look, I know that's a silly complaint, and it doesn't really have anything to do with the quality of the movie, but it just goes to show how good the movie is. The only legit complaint I have is the last 5 minutes. So whether or not you're a Godzilla fan, whether or not you like foreign films, it doesn't matter. This is one of those that I think should be in everyone's collection. So pick yourself up a copy, along with Oppenheimer, and watch them back to back. Thanks for watching, everyone. My name's Kenny, and those were my thoughts on Godzilla -1. You can share yours in the comments below. Just be nice down there. Oppenzilla, that's the movie phenomenon that we all needed in the summer. Barbie.
Too bad about Kenny, huh?
What is even that?
Life in a big city.